defined interface between the drivers and their kernel. And that makes them somewhat easier to port. So I've also been working on a FreeBSD compatibility library to make porting FreeBSD drivers very easy. And that's about 90 to 95% done at this point. So the way I've been working on that is my goal is as close to zero modifications to the actual FreeBSD driver source code. So you should be, when I finish this, you should be able to take the FreeBSD driver source code, drop it into a directory, create a make file that links it to the BCL32 live and the Drive32 library, and link it all together, and it should work. Now, we all know that if you compile without errors, that doesn't necessarily mean it works, so there might be some debugging to do still, but my goal is at the least amount of source code changes possible. And that, of course, that means I got to do a lot of code in my compatibility library, but that's coming along. That's coming along pretty well. Hopefully within the next few weeks I should be able to get that done. The code working on that is kind of stalled because getting the Arca Noae company going, I'm one of the principals in that company, so we've been doing a lot of work on that. And just a lot of things that suck your time away. It's amazing how many things can suck your time away from things. So anyway, that's what's going on Multimac.
Question.
Yes.
We've been, before, in the presentation before yours, we were talking about what it would take to port USB 3.0 to OS2. It looks like this FreeBSD environment that you've made might be ideal for that. Do you think that's possible?
Well, I haven't looked at the FreeBSD USB stack, although the limited amount I have looked at the Linux USB stack, their architecture is considerably different than the USB architecture, and the way the drivers communicate with each other is significantly different. I'm not sure how much help that will be, other than using it as a reference to write our own drivers. If you want, because we pass things back through IDC calls, back and forth through IDC calls in the OS2 USB stack, and I'm just not sure how close it matches, and I really don't know it that well. I just superficially looked at the Linux stuff. I have not looked at the FreeBSD stuff, although it is fairly similar. So I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, thanks.
Anything else? Okay, let's move on. UniOdd. Well, when I get really tired of working on Multimac, or really tired of working on ACPI, or tired of working on USB, I bounce over to UniOdd, and I'm working on cleaning up the whole UniOdd port pretty much the same way that I've cleaned up the ACPI project, so that it's really, with ACPI, the way I have it, it's really easy to drop in a new Intel version of the ACPI CA code. It literally takes me about 15 minutes to drop in a new drop from Intel, recompile it, and get it working. My goal is to have a similar thing with UniOdd, to where it takes a very short amount of time, where you can just drop in the new code. You don't have to work on reorganizing things or editing and a lot of that. So that you can just drop in a new one, and then you've got the new also whenever they have it done. So that's my goal. That is getting started. I'd say it's probably 20% complete at this point, getting that going. The end result will be that we will have a new port of UniOdd with the newest, latest also when I'm done with this. Now, of course, there's just one of me, and I've already gone through several fairly major project, so I can't give you an estimate when this will be done, but it is in progress. So the goal of this presentation is to let everybody know that stuff is happening. It's not been dead and silent like, I know it's been silent, but stuff has not been totally stopped in the background. Things have been worked on, and at least I've been really busy doing a lot of things. Any questions on Uniod? Okay. JFS. I've also, in the past, spent quite a bit of time tracking down some serious issues in the JFS IFS. One of the things I found and fixed is a problem with the log redo code, where it would claim it fixed your disk after a crash, but in fact make it worse and then tell you everything was okay. Yeah, that can be pretty severe. What it did is it cross-links files, and then tells you everything's okay. Where then, if you keep running your disk, you have no idea what's getting corrupted further as you're running, and then eventually you can get a problem where you're not very good anymore. Anyway, that's been fixed, and we hope to get that out to everybody as soon as possible. There still are other problems with the check disk where a check disk will fail to run in some situations. Those have not been tracked down yet, and that's on the list of things to do. As if our list of things to do is not long enough already. Let's move on to the other drivers. There are some other drivers that will be available at the Arca Noae website. I don't know if any of these have been updated since the last time we've released something. I know that Stephen Levine has the latest version of Danny at 1.8.15. I think most people are already running that. If you're not, you should be. There are some things fixed in there. AHCI is still at 1.32. There are some issues with RSJ that I know about that I still need to look at, but I haven't had time to get to that yet. I did work a while back on getting the AMOUS code all together in one place and being able to build it from one repository. I did get that done, and that is currently able to build and create a warp-in package. And since I combined all the different pieces from different places, I bumped the version to 3.1.0. That will be available. The IBM keyboard driver is currently at 10.165. If you're not running that, you should be. That was released in the last ACPI package, but there are some problems fixed with that regarding whether the keyboard works on boot up. So there are issues there that have been resolved. I think that's all I can think of at this point. The next slide talks about what to do if you have problems. We are going to be providing all of the support for all the Arca Noae things that are released through the Arca Noae website. So for all support, you should go to the arcanoae.com website, click on support. I'm working on putting up wiki pages for information about all the different projects that I'm working on, so you should be able to get information in one place. This will be really good. Rather than having to remember all different places to go to for this project and that project, you should be able to go to the Arca Noae website for all your support and to open support tickets if you have problems, and we'll be addressing all the issues there. It'll be a very convenient and easy to remember place for everybody to go for support. As always, I tend to discourage people from going to email lists or forums or news groups for support. You simply cannot get support from developers there. I don't even read these things. I don't have time. I mean, look at all the projects that I've already told you I'm working on. I don't have time to do all of that and read all the news groups and forums and everything. I just don't have the time. So if you have a problem and you need support, open a ticket at the Arca Noae website. The ticket system we use is Mantis. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that. So that's what we use. At this point, that's all of the prepared presentation I have for you guys. I'm willing to entertain questions if anybody has any.
Yes, can I?
Go ahead.
There is a question on the chat room about the time frame of when the new ACPI driver is going to be available.
as soon as we can get the Arca Noae distribution and web shop set up. And that is, we have people working on that as we speak even, and I would say within days.
Breathing hard.
Yeah, really soon. In fact, Lewis may have some information about that when he talks, I believe, right after me, right? Or later on today?
Lewis did not make it to Warpstock, unfortunately.
I know. Is he doing it via Skype, or is somebody substituting for him? I don't know what's going on there.
No, Andy is substituting.
No, actually,
They
Steve.
got a
Steve's
sock puppet for Lewis.
Steve's going to do it. Okay.
Steve's going to do it. Okay. Well, then I guess Steve's the guy. But anyway, that's coming along really well. I'm working on stuff in the background as well on that, and it's coming along very quickly. Within days we should be able to start seeing some of that stuff be ready. There are some logistic issues and some licensing issues that we still need to be resolved, but that's all in the works and coming along very quickly. Anything else?
You have made a terrific effort on collecting information for bug reports. You know, you have the test log. You know, could you say anything more about what makes a good bug report?
Oh, of course I can. Yes, when you open a ticket or submit a bug report, I have a program that I call test log. It's a rec script. What it does is it collects all the information from your system necessary for whatever project you're working on. And it currently works for ACPI, it works for UniAuth, it works for USB, it works for AHCI, it works for the Multimac drivers. It collects everything you need and puts it all in one file that you can upload to the ticket. And it makes it really easy for developers because the log file, it's all in one log file. I can open one file and I can see everything. I can see what's in your config.sys, I can see I can see which versions of the kernel you're using, which versions of the driver you're using, everything necessary to help work on your problem. In the case of ACPI and AHCI and USB, it also dumps the debug buffers out of the drivers. The only thing it doesn't do is collect traces. Like for Multimac, I might ask for a trace file. But in general, for trace files, I like to request it because there are different ways to request trace files. So don't just arbitrarily include a trace file because I may want a startup trace file or a trace file that collects things after the system's been running for a while. They're different. The test log is available at my website, which if you go to the very last page in the very last slide in the presentation, it shows my website and my email address. There are some software downloads which you can download at the 88watts.net website, including the 16-bit driver kit and the 32-bit driver kit. Those are available there. And they are updated frequently because that's all still an ongoing development. And the test log program is there, as well as some other useful things. There's a driver that can write PCI configuration space if you have problems with the way your BIOS initializes stuff. That's there. There's a debug driver which will do various things. You can put that in your configuration, in your config.sys, where you can stop the system, you can pause the system, you can output lines to the screen, you can create debug breakpoints and different things. It's a debugging driver. And there's a lot of useful utilities there. Is that good enough on covering test logs and things? And
Good. Yeah, that's good.
anything else? I only got to see part of Lars's USB presentation, mainly because I got up pretty early here. And maybe you can see behind me, the sun's just now starting to rise here. And I did my presentation outside because everything in Hawaii is outside. I mean, it's pleasant 24 hours a day here.
Okay.
Not like Las
Although
Vegas.
sometimes a little damp.
And in fact, a lot of the buildings here don't even have windows and doors.
Yeah.
Send us a ticket.
What was
He
that?
said, send us a ticket.
Yeah, it's nice here. Anyway, Anything else?
Anything else?
So you and Lars talk to each other all the time about the USB?
We email, yeah, we talk to each other quite frequently.
All right.
Yes, I can confirm that.
Good. Just checking.
I didn't hear.
I can confirm.
Yes, yes. Lots of emails. We're both on the USB developer mailing list, and things get posted a lot. Plus, we send private emails back and forth.
And what,
Time difference is quite a bit, so we don't talk on the phone at all, really. Emails are good.
what about wireless network drivers? Like you created.
You
this
know,
whole
that's
plumbing.
on the list because the wireless driver is pretty complex compared to the other wired NIC drivers. And my goal is, with the Multimac, to use the FreeBSD code to actually produce those drivers. The first driver that I'm trying to port from FreeBSD, and that's the one I'm using to develop the compatibility library with, is the E1000 driver, as opposed to the E1000E driver, which is from Linux. In FreeBSD, they call it E1000 driver, and it supports all of the newest chipsets. So you'll get support for all the new hardware when that one's finally done. And that one now compiles and links. I'm working on getting the few remaining modules done in my compatibility library, and then that one should work. And then next after that, I also have mostly done the Broadcom drivers and what's the other one?
Realtek?
NVIDIA.
I don't remember.
NVIDIA?
I know.
What about?
My-
I don't remember, but there's a couple other drivers that are mostly also done, which should just be able to link and run. So probably what I will do is I will just build and link and produce the easy ones, a whole bunch of them right away. Because theoretically, if everything goes according to plan, I should just be able to copy the source, build the makefile, link them, and build them, and they should work. And I'll do as many of those as I can. I have a system that needs the Broadcom driver. One of my laptops does, so that's kind of up there on the top of my priority list for me, so you'll see one of those. And then right after that will be the wireless drivers. And getting the thing that makes them a little more complex is they need to interface with something like WLAN and the encryption module. So that's more complicated, and that will take some more work. But hopefully, getting the actual driver part of it ported will be a lot easier using this method. So that's in the works, and hopefully, if I don't run into any snags and I don't get all my time sucked away by other things, that should come along in I don't know, a month maybe. I can't promise, but that's, I'm working on it the best that I can. Okay?
Okay.
Anything else?
What's Arca Noae mean?
I asked the same question when they came up with that name, but I don't remember. I don't know. Ask Stephen.
Yeah.
Sounds Hawaiian. Noah's Ark.
Doesn't it mean like new art
That's what Google.
or something like that?
Not a
Yeah,
spell.
that's genitive, right?
That's Google Translate.
Noah's Ark.
Exactly.
Noah's Ark, I think new art or something.
No,
I don't know.
Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark. Noah's
No.
Ark.
We expecting a flood of drivers?
Anyway,
Loaded 2x2.
what was I just going to say? Anyway, it's pretty hard to come up with new names that nobody's stolen the domain name anymore. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, something that they came up with. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And anyway, if nobody has any other questions, that's it for me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to go over to the side of the island, to the other side of the big island here, and have some fun over there.
Yeah, rub it in.
Don't get stuck in traffic.
Oh, a traffic jam here is about 10 cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thanks.
Thanks, guys. I miss being there. I wish I was there. Maybe next time.
Yeah. Where's the?
Okay.
Remember, Louis is Jewish, and all the people in the world are descended from him.
Yeah.
Yes, he and his wife, he survived the flood.
Right.
It's our time.
I don't know. 10:50.